This week on Ranked and Reviewed, we're reviewing Tomb Raider.
What's your name?
Lara
Surname?
Croft. Lara, your father's gone. You can pick up where he left off. I see so much of him in you. Brilliant.
Hello, Sprout. If you're listening to this, then I must be dead. I found something, a tomb called the Mother of Death. If Trinity succeeds, our world is in danger. Promise me you will stop them.
I promise. I think I know where my dad went.
That's right in the middle of the Devil's Sea.
It will be an adventure.
Death is not an adventure.
You shouldn't have come here. But I'm glad that you did.
What do you know about my father?
Now I see the likeness, the recklessness.
Close the tomb once and for all. The fate of humanity is now in your hands.
Can't be too careful these days. The world has gone bloody mad.
I'll take two.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Ranked and Reviewed. I am your host, TOMYE West, and joining me, as always, is my co-host, ALANNIS Maximus.
Greetings.
And today, we are continuing our special Ranked and Reviewed series where we are reviewing every video game adapted movie ever in the history of history and compiling a ranking for you all while we review them along with it. And last week we did Uncharted, and today we are continuing that with our review of Tomb Raider from 2018. And before we get going into that, please subscribe, like, share, and leave a comment if you can. It would help us out a lot. So, with that, let's get into our Ranked and Reviewed Tomb Raider 2018 episode. So, ALANNIS, how are you feeling about this first?
I went into this movie going, I don't know how I feel. And I came out of this movie going, I'm goddamn glad I saw that movie because I had a good time.
Yeah, that's good to hear, man. I enjoyed it too. I thought it was really good. So, before we get into our proper thoughts, let's give you an overview of this movie. This movie was released in the year 2018. It has a PG-13 rating, goes for an hour and 59 minutes. It has an IMDb rating of 6.3 out of 10. And the synopsis goes a little like this. Lara Croft, the fiercely independent daughter of a missing adventurer, must push herself beyond her limits when she discovers the island where her father, Lord Richard Croft, disappeared. So, that's a little... We'll get into a little bit more here. This was directed by Roar Athong. It was written by Geneva Robertson Dworet, Alistair Siddons, and the story was by Evan Doherty. This stars Alicia Vikander, Dominic West, and Walton Goggins. So, that was the overview. Let's get into our thoughts on this movie. So, as always, I'm going to let Alan take the floor.
Yes, it was an interesting movie. I think my big takeaway from it is it was kind of, if you're going to change things about what you're basing on, which this is the first game, the 2013 game is based on. So the first reboot game, I should say, because it's 840 billion Tomb Raider games. They did it in the right ways. It was notably different, but in understandable ways. And then it was also remarkably close to the story and how it went. I think straight off the bat, the casting was pretty good. Lara Croft was, I think, really well cast. And what's his name? It's Walton Goggins, I think it is. I'm pretty sure that's the dude who plays Matthias Vogel in this. He's just a really good seedy actor. So he made a good bad guy.
No, he did. He did.
He didn't look exactly like Matthias from the game, but the game is considerably different, and it was more like a paramilitary group than a cult kind of thing. So I think it worked.
Awesome, man. How did you think like the action was paced throughout the movie compared to, say, playing the video game?
I think they did it well. The intro kind of went on for as long as it should have. It didn't take too long, and you had your kind of filler action, like with the thieves when they try to take Lara's bag and she chases him, and to kind of break it up between the introduction of the dude on the boat, whose name I can't remember, and actually getting to the island, which I think they kept it interesting. They had the character development, and they kind of got into it and stuck with it. It didn't slow down, I don't think.
Yeah, well, just to give you an idea of how I feel about like the way the movie kind of ran and how it kind of was put together, I personally think everything before the island was redundant. I didn't enjoy that part of the movie. I didn't like the bike race with the paint can and trying to catch the tail from her. Like I was like, why are we watching this? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I know we had to have some sort of like understanding of where she was before she went on the island, but also I believe the video game starts off with her basically getting lost at sea and getting onto the island and starting from there. And I feel like Tomb Raider is such an iconic video game property, as well as being a movie series from Angelina Jolie's running. I feel like no one really needs an explanation of who Lara Croft is that's going to see this movie, really. I don't really see anyone going, oh, what's that Tomb Raider movie all about? You know what I mean? Like, so I wouldn't have minded had they like maybe had something sort of small before the whole shipwreck thing, but it could have been like a moment that was completely separate from that part, when then it sort of crossfades to her sitting on a boat or in a plane or whatever you want to do, and crashes in the ocean, and sort of see more backstory through the eyes of her on the island, I guess. You know what I mean? I don't know if they could have done something like that, but I found the first till she got onto the island, like I just found it a little bit sort of like meh. I had a lot of trouble concentrating until the island sort of hit. You know what I mean?
There's a couple of things I think were good, but for the most part, I can kind of see where you're coming from. I like that they set up the puzzles. I think that complemented the story when she kind of had a thing and she knew how to open the doors. It's like that, I think, worked. And the only other thing was just if they had a couple of minutes, which could have been flashbacks as well, to kind of build that drive between her meeting her father, because he's alive in this one, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could have even started it with her father seeing these puzzles, working out that he needed to hide this from people, like leaving in a hurry from the house sort of thing, saying like, I'll see you soon, I got to go do this, never coming back. And then sort of getting an idea of that happening, and then crossfading into Lara Croft sitting on the boat or whatever you want to do. I mean, they could have tackled it like that, I feel, you know what I mean? But again, I don't think this was horrible at the beginning. I just thought it was very bland and sort of like get on with the Tomb Raidery, you know what I mean? So I'm glad you can see my point in what I'm trying to say. But I do believe that once it hits the island, I think that the movie takes off really well. I think that it shoots up to a level that is better than just okay. You know what I mean? Like, I think the plane bit where she's trying to, like, on the waterfall, sort of running across the plane, then the plane breaks and then she's inside the plane and rolling around the plane. Like, that was all really fucking well done. I really liked when she started using the bow and arrow. Those action scenes are really dope. It was a lot more violent than an Uncharted movie, the Uncharted movie, and it was a lot more graphic.
Is it rated the same?
It's rated the same, which is another confusing thing to me. I don't get your look. I know a lot of our viewership is from America, and we really love that that's the case. We are stoked that our main viewership is, like, percentage-wise, is American audiences, because, like, we don't, like, Australia's cool and everything, but it's way cooler that we're, like, getting more views in America. So, like, I'm not trying to say this in a bad way, but what the fuck is wrong with you Americans and your PG-13 ratings? Like, it's across the board. It doesn't make sense to me that the Batman, Uncharted, and then this movie are all rated the same. Like,
even Hilo, this would have had to have been M. It couldn't have been MA.
This was M.
And yeah, it makes me feel like Uncharted could almost have been PG here.
100%. 100%. Uncharted could have been a PG rating in Australia, which is like the same as your, what is it? It goes, I know your Americans are PG-13, which is classified our M. Then it's R, which people can see, like, over the age of 14 or something like that. And then it's NC-17, which is like no one under the age of 17 can see that movie. I'm not sure what the one is under that. But yeah, it could have easily been a PG for us, which is parental guidance, which is like one step up from general audiences. So, like, cartoon kids movies, you know? So I don't know. I feel like this movie, especially like parts where the guy was like touched the shit and then was fucking like, he's like turning into a corpse in front of him and stuff like that. Like, that was all much, much more full on than anything in Uncharted. So
yeah.
So what did you like? You said you thought you had a lot of stuff to say about, like, how it compared to the 2013 reboot of Tomb Raider, the video game. How did you think it compared, and what were the things that you thought were the most interesting?
Yeah, I think the most interesting things in terms of the differences, there's kind of 4 big ones that I think are worth mentioning. The first one is Lara's dad is alive, and obviously she meets up with him. But in the original game from 2013, that's not a thing. Like, I think he's only kind of brushed over, and it's more Lara from memory. It's been a long time since I played, but from memory, it was more kind of on her own steam, going on another location of this island. And her dad, I should say, kind of came into it in the second one, Rise of Tomb Raider. The other one was Matthias was in that weird cult, the Brothers of Solari, who were kind of trying to pay homage to the god, who was the god of the sun, I think, instead of the god of death. And in this, they're more the paramilitary group, and obviously same character, who's still kind of leading with fear and violence and threat of killing, but he's kind of turned into this paramilitary group kind of thing, which I think it works if you suppose it's going to get a sequel, which it might still. But I think introducing Trinity rather than the cult was kind of stuck to the island. So it wasn't going to go any further than that. Whereas this one, you have the whole, the chick works for Trinity. So, and it leads into the next one and kind of leaves you going, I want to see another movie. And also with that, the change in the god, like, there's no supernatural element, which I don't know if I like or dislike. In one way, it's kind of like, that's cool, and obviously it's saved on budget and it kind of made it a bit more, as much as this kind of movie can be believable, made it more believable, not having that supernatural side to it. Those are the kind of...
Which I'm glad about too, because with Uncharted, the not the fourth game as much. Mainly like one. I'm not sure about one actually. Two definitely. I think three. They all had a supernatural element to them where there was like the Yeti, and you had to fight it, and there was like other things in the games that sort of took me out of like being like, oh, I wanted just a straight up Indiana Jones like sort of vibe game. I didn't want it to turn into ghosts and goblins and bullshit, you know. So I'm really glad that they didn't do anything like that with this movie, sort of thing, you know. So
Yeah. I liked it. I was kind of like, I couldn't precisely remember. I looked it up at the end, so I'm like, I'm sure it was supernatural in the game, and it wasn't in something like that. I still dug it.
Yeah.
And there was also the other one, which I think the movie would have been not as good if they did it, but the Endurance, the boat, it was like a big research ship, and there was like 7, 8 named characters or something on it that survive on the island, which were just completely cut out. I think the movie would have been a lot more bogged down and probably less remarkable if they had all of those characters there.
Yeah.
So actually, I really like that it's cut it down to this new Japanese dude and Lara.
Yeah. I really also liked the sort of how they replicated the way the Croft Mansion looked.
Yeah.
From the game. The game, it looked pretty much identical to me from memory anyway. It's been a long time since I played that game. But yeah, while we're talking about this, ALANNIS actually linked me to a comparison video that I thought we'd check out of the movies side by side to the game. This is courtesy of IGN. So I'll bring that up now and we'll quickly watch it and then we'll continue sort of along with our thoughts.
Yeah.
All right.
Name.
Lara.
Surname?
If you're listening to this, then I must be dead. If Trinity succeeds,
I promise.
I think I know where my dad went.
That's right in the middle of the Devil's Sea.
It will be an adventure.
Death is not an adventure.
You're on mute, I think.
I was muted. I think it's really cool because it goes to show that they did try to stay pretty faithful to how the game looked and felt and went, including like the way she was dressed, the way she was running, the way she simulated the action and her body movements. They did a really good job. And what did you think about how the performance of Lara Croft? What did you think?
I think she's really good. I think she's about as good as you could really get. I have no idea who that actress is either. I don't think I've seen her in anything before, which I think made it better. I like that.
Well, she's actually a Academy Award nominee / winner. I can't remember. I'll have a quick look for you.
Wow.
She's been in quite a lot. So she's been in things like, trying to find something that we might know. Ex Machina?
Yeah.
Jason Bourne. Euphoria. She's been in a couple of TV series. So she's been in a fair few things. A Royal Affair, The Crown Jewels. So she was pretty good, man. Again, I also didn't think she was like outstanding. You know, like it wasn't like, whoa, like she did a really good job. I think she did a really great job with the action scenes. But what do you think? How do you think she compared to Angelina Jolie in the previous one?
A shitload better.
Yeah, of course.
And I liked that she kept. She wasn't like Angelina Jolie, where she was this hard ass, hardly anyone can beat me up female. She was very vulnerable, even though she could hold her own. They kept it in that she is just a young girl and coming up against dudes who are obviously soldiers. It's a little bit of a mismatch.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing because this came out in 2018 and it is now the year 2022 with no sign of a new one, that we aren't getting another one of these.
No, which is unfortunate because I would like to have seen the next installment. And in a world of reboots, we're probably going to get rebooted and it's not going to be as good.
I'm just looking up IMDb now to see if there's been anything about a reboot to the, like a sequel to this. Well, look, it says, look, there is an IMDb page for it. It says sequel to the 2018 reboot with the director Misha Green, writers Toby Gard, Misha Green, Alicia, she's coming back with some Kristen Scott Thomas, and it says as its current situation, it says it's in development.
I suppose we have had COVID, which in that kind of period would have slowed a lot of it down. So maybe there is.
I mean, what was the box office results slash like? Let's have a look at the budget and the box office results. So the budget was 94 million, with a gross worldwide of 274 million.
That's not bad.
So it didn't fail, but it didn't also blow anyone away. Yeah. So I'm going to quickly Google and see if we can see any actual news on if we're getting a sequel. Hold on. Tomb Raider 2 was announced back in 2019 with Warner Brothers, and MGM initially slotting the sequel in from a March 2021 release. Doing so, blah, blah, blah. So to me, okay, so 8th of December 2021, we've got Tomb Raider 2 is making cautious progress after being delayed indefinitely from its original March planned release. After the delay, it was that was 2021 release. Sorry. After the delay, it was confirmed in January 2021 that Lovecraft Country showrunner Misha Green is taking over from Ben Wheatley as director. Green is writing a sequel too, replacing Amy Jump, who is working on the Wheatley version. In May 2021, Green confirmed that she had finished the first draft to the sequel with the title Tomb Raider Obsidian. Title was not even approved, she added. So we'll wait and see if it ends up being the official title. So yeah, it looks like we will be getting a sequel at some point. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it. I wonder if they're going to bring in any more characters from the 3 games. I wonder if they're going to like go with what sort of setting they're going to go for. Are they going to go for the Rise of the Tomb Raider setting where it's all in the sort of snowy mountains, or are they going to go for the Eidos game that came out where Shadow of the Tomb Raider, where it was sort of set in like the Amazon jungle, I think it was.
Yeah.
Which I'd love to see them do that one more than Rise of the Tomb Raider, because I really enjoyed like the tsunami part with the flood and everything like that. That'd be really cool to see on like an action spectacle, you know.
We've got a 4th one coming as well, don't we?
I believe so. Let's find that out together too. Tomb Raider 4 game. So Shadow of the Tomb Raider sequel. Yes. So I'm having a look now. It says sequel to Shadow of the Tomb Raider in Tomb Raider 4 announced only a matter of time. A sequel to The Shadow of the Tomb Raider will be announced any day now. Blah blah blah. So it looks like experience the final chapter of Lara Croft's origin story in Shadow of the Tomb Raider. That was the final chapter. And then it says, yeah, it's coming. Apparently we're getting a fourth. But I don't know when.
When the movie comes out, or the other way around.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's Crystal Dynamics returning to do it or if it's Eidos again, because they took over from Crystal Dynamics on the 3rd.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, what did you think about sort of the score and the set design? Did you think like they did a good job of making it feel real and not too green screeny and things like that?
Absolutely. The temple was very nicely done as well. It looked pretty authentic. As far as the score goes, I'm going to say fitting but unremarkable. Like I can't actually remember much about the score. I think it was there, and it wasn't terrible because I don't remember it, and it wasn't breathtaking because I don't remember it. I think is the best way to put it.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
Yeah.
And what did you feel about sort of the dynamic between Lara and her father in this?
I think it was good. It was interesting that it legitimately surprised me that they brought him in alive. Like, I didn't think they were going to do that. But I think it was predictable he was going to die. It's like, this dude's not going to make it out of the movie. The second he was there, I'm like, he's going to get shot. He's going to sacrifice himself. Something's going to happen, and he's going to die.
Yeah.
But it was good, and it didn't linger too much. It wasn't a long, drawn out, sentimental goodbye before he blew himself up.
Yeah. And
I actually thought he was going to get shot in the head at the start of the vault. I'm surprised they didn't kill him there. That was
very true, very true. And what did you think of the cinematography?
It was good. It was it was interesting. Some of the scenes in the tomb when she was running, it was almost filmed like how you saw her running in the game.
Yep.
Like, so I can remember at one point I'm like, hey, this looks like I'm playing the game right now. It was very, very clever the way they shot some of the scenes.
Yeah, definitely. And what I liked about this movie is they didn't do what Uncharted did, which was take all these iconic parts from every single game and slam them all into one movie.
Absolutely.
To make one story. I would have really much preferred that Uncharted got the treatment that this movie did, where it largely followed the first remake of the game and didn't like veer into the sequels already. So I'm kind of leaning towards that. I think that this movie overall is a better movie than Uncharted.
Absolutely.
But I also am not going to sit there and say that I didn't enjoy Uncharted, because I was surprised. I surprisingly really did, even though I don't think they made a lot of right decisions with the cast or the way the plot was nailed. But I do think that this movie also had a lot more action in it than Uncharted too.
Yes.
I'm surprised.
Too.
I'm also surprised that the budget was so small on this movie, because I have a feeling that Uncharted's budget was higher than this.
That's pretty crazy.
I'm going to have a quick look, but you got to remember too that they're paying Mark Wahlberg and they're also paying Tom Holland. These are some of the biggest actors in Hollywood. So, I mean, compared to the people who starred in this movie, then they're kind of sort of
like
not even close.
I'm gonna have to look it up because I like saying it. Walton Goggins.
Yeah,
that is just an awesome name.
All right, so their budget was $120 million. So that is another, that's another $30 million on top of Uncharted's budget, which is confusing because, as I said, there was surprisingly very little action in Uncharted compared to this movie. And I have a feeling that all went to people like Tom Holland, Mark Wahlberg, shooting in more locations, maybe. I don't know. I don't know why this budget seemed to feel bigger than Uncharted's budget just by the action scenes itself.
I feel this one was heavier on sets and special effects as well, which is even weirder.
Yeah. Also, though, you got to remember that. No, yeah, it kind of has the same thing, but majority of it was filmed on an island. Yeah, Uncharted, they were New York, Boston, I think it was, and then New York, I think. I can't remember. Then they were, in somewhere else, another country, on an island. I don't know. I guess I don't know how budgets go with movies. I might have done a film degree. I don't know where they put more money into compared to where they don't put more money into on certain films, and other films might put more money into that where they didn't put more money into. So I guess and I suppose they only do what they need to do for the script that's written, you know what I mean? So I guess this movie's script was just a little more action heavy, and they managed to make it work on a tighter budget. I don't know. I think they also had to pay a lot more probably for the Sony use of Uncharted, to Naughty Dog and things like that. I don't know about Tomb Raider having as much cachet as Uncharted anymore. I mean, how do you feel comparing those two? Not as movies, but as games, sort of legacy now.
I think Tomb Raider is. You could ask some kids who's Tomb Raider these days, and it's a couple probably wouldn't know. So I think, it's no longer in its heyday like Uncharted. Everyone knows the Uncharted games.
Yeah, definitely. Especially, if you grew up in the PS3, PS4 generation as a young kid, you're probably going to know the Uncharted games a little bit more than Tomb Raider, especially because if you're a hardcore dedicated Sony PlayStation fan, you know about Uncharted, you know about Naughty Dog. And then with Tomb Raider, because it's across multiple consoles and platforms, maybe the fan base isn't as hardcore for that game because it isn't as sort of stuck to one thing, where PlayStation gamers are hardcore about Uncharted. They are hardcore about Naughty Dog. They are hardcore about The Last of Us. And PlayStation is just a giant steamroller at the moment with consoles selling. So it just seems like there's a lot more dedicated hardcore PlayStation fans out there than there are sort of spread across other consoles. But then again, that's just a perception. I'm not saying that that's true. That's just what I see and feel from being in the PlayStation community myself, So, and have you got any other thoughts really about much that you wanted to touch on?
Well, I think that's about it, really. I would like to say Walton Goggin one more time.
Walter Goggins. Walter Goggins.
Right? When Floyd dies, I'm going to name my dog Walter Goggins.
Why don't you just name Floyd Walter Goggins?
That's Floyd's new name.
Yeah. Walter Goggins. My dog looked at me.
Snoring.
My dog with me.
It
looks like we're both just going to have to call him Walter Goggins, man.
Yeah. They're no longer a dog. Their breed is Walter Goggins.
Are you a Walter Goggins? So with that, we will get into our trivia. Now, let me go back because right now I'm on the wrong page. I looked up Uncharted. Give me a second. I'm enjoying doing these video game movie reviews. We got a lot coming up, man?
We do. Almost as much as Barbie.
Oh man, we still got to fit that in now too, eh? All right, so the trivia. By the way, I heard the new Top Gun movie's off its head. Good.
Really? That is legitimately surprising.
Dude, I was shocked, man. I heard it's amazing. I heard people saying it's one of the best movies ever made, and it rivals anything Marvel's done.
Jesus.
Yeah, I was shocked. I still haven't seen the first one. I have no interest in it, but maybe we will have to do a Top Gun ranking review eventually. But okay, so let's get on with our trivia. Alicia Vikander said that it only took 3 weeks after filming ended to lose all the muscle mass she gained for the role. Duncan Ali James, Terry the Trainer, is a former 6-time world Thai kickboxing champion and K1 fighter. The old rusty aeroplane onto which Lara lands is a World War II Japanese heavy bomber known as a Mitsubishi G3M, or as the Allies called it, Nell. Alicia Vikander was a fan of the video game series growing up. Currently the highest rated video game adaptation on Rotten Tomatoes. Not anymore. Sorry, that one's outdated. Uncharted has overtaken it by 1 point. So in 2009, Warner Brothers had plans to reboot the franchise with some help from Lynn Pictures, with Megan Fox attached to star. However, when in 2011 the project died, MGM began its efforts to bring the prequel version to life. In 2013, a studio brought on Marty Noxon to rewrite and take over from Mark Ferguson and Hawk Watney, all of whom were replaced by the Doherty.
I'm glad we did not get Megan Fox as Lara Croft.
Yeah, it's super weird. Eh? She's hot, but I wouldn't go that far with that. So
It'll be another Angelina Jolie Tomb Raider movie.
Yeah, exactly. Mark Ferguson, Hawk Ostby were previously attached to write. I don't know who they are, whatever. In the rebooted video game franchise's sequel, Rise of the Tomb Raider, out in 2015, one of the principal antagonists is Anna, a former lover of Lara's father and senior Trinity agent. Although in the game, Anna's surname is not mentioned, it is likely the Anna Miller character from this movie was based on this character. There are hints in the movie, including Anna confessing to being close to Lord Richard Croft prior to his disappearance, and the shot of Anna getting on the elevator as Lara pieces together the connections between Trinity and Croft holdings, prompting her to continue investigating her father's disappearance. And we will go one more. During the climax, Lara leaps across the chasm of souls and grasps for the ledge, driving her pry axe into the wall and hanging on by one arm. This is a frequent game mechanic of the 2013 video game Tomb Raider, often timed with a button press to prevent falling. So, that is our trivia for the movie. And because we've only done 2 of these video game rankings, reviews so far, we're going to do our rankings now. And that is, Alan, what did you like better so far? Uncharted?
I'm going to give it to Tomb Raider.
You're going to give it to Tomb Raider?
Definitely. It's not that I didn't enjoy Uncharted, but this just... Even if I knew more about Uncharted, going by your opinions on the movie, I feel I'll still put this above it.
I would put this above it too, even though I am much more of an Uncharted fan than a Tomb Raider fan. And I... telling you, Alan, man, like you've got to play the games, and if you think the Tomb Raider games are awesome and cinematic and fun, like you've seen nothing yet, because that was my problem with the new games. I really loved the 2013 one. Rise of the Tomb Raider to me was really meh, and I never finished it because Uncharted just does everything better as a game. You know, when Uncharted was being made, before it was anything, they called it Dude Raider because they were like, let's make a Tomb Raider game that's actually good. You know what I mean? Like, because it had been years since a good Tomb Raider game. So I'm going to put this above Uncharted as well. We're not going to bring up a ranking and review screen yet. We will start doing that as of the next ranked and reviewed episode. We do video game adaptation movie. Video game movie adapted movie, whichever we decide to do. What are you thinking we should do next? What video game movie?
I reckon, although we haven't done the first one. So
what do you reckon?
Yeah.
What do you reckon we leave the next Tomb Raider? Because this is a separate Tomb Raider on its own. We don't need to watch the other ones just yet to rank them next to each other. As we said, we're not doing a Tomb Raider ranked and reviewed. This is a video game movie adapted, ranked, and reviewed. So why don't we just fuck it and let's go to what will probably be the bottom of the barrel and do Super Mario Brothers from the 1990s next week. Not next week.
Yeah.
The next week it'll be Jurassic World Dominion. Actually, that'll be on the Thursday next week. So yeah. So next week we're going to do Jurassic World Dominion. Then, actually, do you think we could fit Mario Brothers in next week and then do Jurassic World Dominion on the Thursday?
I reckon we could probably do that.
Because after Jurassic World Dominion, the next week we have to get back into our Batman ranked and reviewed as well. So how about we do Mario Brothers next week, along with Jurassic World Dominion, which means people will get 2 episodes of ranked and reviewed. And then we will continue on with our Batman trilogy, the Nolan trilogy for our Batman ranked and reviewed series. How does that sound?
That does sound good to me.
Well, everybody, you heard it here first. Huh?
So, what is also scary is we're not far off having to start Halloween.
Holy shit, we aren't either. That's probably we're gonna have to work that out with the calendar properly, but we're looking at probably August, the start of August with that, eh?
Yeah.
So we better get our fucking asses into gear with this Batman shit. So, you heard it here first, people. Next week, we are going to the bottom of that shit barrel, and we are bringing you the fucking Super Mario Brothers movie from I think it's 93?
Yeah. I was young. I was primary school, so.
I just love how they're like, hey, Luigi, we're going down to the donut shop. Okay, Mario, let's go do some plumbing. Oh, man. Oh, my God, Dennis Hopper. Oh, my God. It's going to be such a bad movie. Again, I haven't seen that movie in fucking years, so everyone get ready for a fucking disaster.
It'll be better than Morbius.
Only because of who's in Morbius. Fuck that guy. Fuck you, Jared Leto. Fuck you, mate. I hate that guy. Sorry, everyone, but he's a fucking ghost. With that, we hope you enjoyed this episode of Ranked and Review. We enjoyed doing it. It was fun. And we are going to be doing Super Mario Brothers next. We'll do Super Mario Brothers on a little bit earlier so that we can release Super Mario Brothers on Tuesday. So we will release Super Mario Brothers next Tuesday, giving it a day or two to sit on its own until we bring out our review of Jurassic World Dominion. And we are seeing Jurassic World Dominion in the AM, so we will bring you that review really quickly on the day of release of the movie with our full-blown thoughts. We will probably do a portion that's spoiler-free and then get into the spoilers, or we will either do what we did. We will either do that, or we'll do what we did with the Batman movie, where we did a spoiler-free episode, and then about a week later, we did our full spoiler review. So me and Alan will work that out, but we're excited. Well, I'm really excited about that movie. I've been watching a lot of press junkets that the cast have been doing, and like all the interviewers are saying it's the best Jurassic Park movie they've ever seen. So
yeah,
I guess we'll be the judge of that.
Yes.
So again, thank you for joining us, everyone. Remember, if you haven't already, subscribe, like, and share. Please leave us a comment. It will really help. We've reached our 250 sub goal. So later in, will probably be next week, we'll be announcing the winner of our giveaway. And I still believe, Alan, I'm not sure that you have one of the George Clooney things.
I do.
Well, then, one lucky winner will be winning this George Clooney pop vinyl, where he is dressed as Batman. So just wobble your heads and get excited for that one.
I mean, who doesn't want that in their life?
Exactly. As always, I've been your host, TOMYE West. And as always, joining me is my co-host, ALANNIS MAXIMUS. And we will see you all next week for Super Mario Brothers and Jurassic World Dominion. Thanks, guys. Peace.
Peace.